Hi, I'm Rick Reynolds, founder and president of Affair Recovery. And today I want to talk about how do you find answers after infidelity. I know for Stephanie and I, after my infidelity, we were really quite lost. We tried to go to some counselors, but thankfully in their honesty, they just said they had no idea how to help, which I appreciated, especially since I was a counselor at the time. We tried to go to some pastors who knew how to pray for us, but still didn't know exactly how to direct us. In fact, I've always kind of likened the entire experience to a time when I was in my early teens, like 14 or 15, and it was right after Sundance, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid came out. And four of us decided we would go jump off a cliff, but we wanted to do it in real style, so we decided we'd do it in the middle of the night. And here in Austin, we have a lake called Lake Travis with a lot of high cliffs. And so we jumped off about a 30-foot cliff, or three of us. One of them refused to do it. And I remember hitting the water, because it was about 12 at night, and swimming and not being able to find the surface. Nobody had ever told me anything about swimming in the dark. And I began to panic after a while, going, oh my gosh, I'm going to drown because I can't get anywhere. And thankfully, the one person we left up on top of that cliff turned on a light to see what had happened. And I remember seeing that light, and I just remember it was, go to the light. I didn't drown, obviously. But it's always reminded me of that's got to be what it's like for most of us. It's what it was like for Steph and I. I mean, where do you get good direction? How do you find your way to the surface? You don't know if you're going forward. You don't know if you're going backwards, if you're going up, if you're going down. Because the whole impact of infidelity is so isolating, and you don't even know who to talk to. One of the pieces of our story that I really appreciated was Stephanie went and bought a book called The Myth of the Greener Grass by a guy named Peterson. It was the only book she could actually find on infidelity back in 1984. In that book, there was actually a story of someone. They called it The Anatomy of an Affair. And this guy's story was really similar to mine. And I remember taking that to Stephanie and saying, see, I'm not the only pervert. I'm not the only one. There's somebody else like me. I'm not the only one. And we actually went to a spiritual renewal conference thinking that maybe we could find answers there. And the person we were staying with said to me, I think you need to talk to the speaker at the conference, a guy named Jamie, because I think he's got a story similar to yours. And I said, you think or you know? And he said, well, I think, I don't know for certain. And I said, you've got to be kidding me. You want me to go up to the speaker at a conference with over 1,000 people and tell him I cheated on my wife? Now, Stephanie actually thought this was a good idea because she just wanted to find somebody who had been through it, because we didn't know anybody else who had been through it. And so I told Steph, well, if we ever see him alone, I'll talk to him. So we skipped a session at this conference, and we went out on the campus of the Belmont University, actually. As we walked out there, it was about 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It was like the rapture had occurred. There was nobody around except for the speaker and his wife, Jamie and Jackie, and they were sitting under this gazebo. And Stephanie grabs me and yanks me over there, and we sit down, and I just said, can we talk? And he said, sure. And I said, well, I hear that you might have a story similar to mine. I don't know. And he said, what's that? And I said, well, you know, I cheated on my wife. And he said, yeah, we went through that. And I was going, thank you. And he said, what have you guys been doing? And so I told him about the one book we had found, Myth of the Greener Grass. And he said, yeah, I've read that book. And I said, you know, there's a chapter in that book called The Anatomy of an Affair. And I said, you know, that guy's story, that is my story. And he said, yeah, that's my story. And I said, yeah, that's my story. And he said, no, Rick, that's my story. Peterson came and interviewed me. And I went, holy smoke. I mean, what were the odds? I would travel from Denver, Colorado to Nashville, Tennessee and meet somebody from Florida whose story I'd read about in a book. But I'll tell you, sitting down with a couple that had been there and done that was huge. And I'll never forget, after we told them our story and they told us their story, Stephanie looking at his wife Jackie and saying, "Why didn't you divorce him?" Which I'm sure is part of what was going through her mind at that point. And Jackie said, "Steph, we had 4 kids. What was I going to do?" And I thought at least it was worth seeing if there was a way this could be redeemed. And that was decades ago. So am I glad I didn't divorce him? Absolutely. But what was important to us in that whole thing was how they gave us hope. But not only that, they served as an amazing guide for us to show us how to work our way back through things. One of the things we believe at Fair Recovery is that healed individuals are vital guides. You want to seek answers from people who've accomplished what you're looking for. Beware of those who see themselves as victims, for instance, and are always telling a grievance story. I don't know that that's the place you want to seek advice from, or people who think they have all the answers. Of course, it feels a little silly saying that since I do a Q&A every week, but honestly, I don't think I have all the answers. One of the things I believe is that one size doesn't fit all. The Affair Analyzer that people take on the Affair Recovery website has over 850 different outcomes, because you need specific advice for what you're going through, a course of action that works for you. And one of the things we've always wanted to do at Affair Recovery is, provide that direction so that you don't have to stay in a state of hopelessness. One of the reasons we have multiple bloggers is providing hope that you can find somebody like Steph and I found with Jamie and Jackie, whose story you can at least relate to, because it's finding those similarities that allow you to feel hope. One of the reasons all of our therapists have been through infidelity is because they know what it's like. And again, you want people or therapists who specialize and understand and can really empathize, but not judge you, where it feels literally safe for you. Look for those who have not only survived the crisis of infidelity, but ultimately have thrived. Find that sort of community so you can have people who can serve as guides to your own recovery. At Affair Recovery, we do everything we can to provide that service for you so you don't have to languish in the pain and you don't have to have wasted effort. Because you want to move through this and find a new life of meaning and purpose. To healing.